Hey guys, I thought I'd just jump in quickly and talk you through my wider stance high bar squat because it might sound a bit weird. So this is by no means a sumo squat, but I increased my stance width by an inch or two compared to normal, probably just an inch. I may even try going a little bit wider. And this was just to see if this would allow my hips to open up a bit more for me to get more range. And I think it did. As you can see here, I'm really getting and sitting on my calves, and they felt really hard and maybe a bit harder than I was expecting, but also really good. So I'm looking forward to carrying this over into my hypertrophy phases. I'm just eating hot cross bun because weirdly, at this time that I come to train, more so when I've been training at home, but it's also happened when I've been training at the gym now and then, I get like low blood sugar. I'm not sure why. So I'm eating a hot cross bun, try and help bring that back up, get some sugar in my system because I feel a bit funny. Normally helps when I have my intro workout shake, which I might have even during my primer phase if this keeps happening. So there you guys saw my makeshift 45-degree back extension. And basically what I did is I put my rack to the smallest setting, which allowed me to wrap around my dipping belt. And the key here is the dipping belt supports the rear part of my legs, which is what a 45-degree back extension does. So you obviously need to weight this down, make it nice and heavy on one side because you're going to lean over the bar. And this is where actually my sissy pad came in favor, the cushioning that you put on the barbell, because I have this for hip thrusts, but I haven't done those in years. So it's good to be able to use this again. So it's nice, having the dipping belt behind the legs so they're being supported, so you don't have to feel your feet flat on the ground, because I found that incredibly uncomfortable, and that's often how setups go. But maybe some of you have a rack like this or can find a similar way to set this up, and this can be helpful because back extensions are a pretty terrific exercise. So guys, I just wanted to sit down, talk to you face to face, and first of all tell you, how annoying is this? Can you even see it? So this is my phone. It's my brand new iPhone 11. I cracked the screen the other day. I was curling in this chair right here, right by my desk. My phone was on my desk, curling in my deload week, and I, using my adjustable dumbbells, and hit my screen, or I hit my phone and it pinged off onto the floor, and I was like, oh, it's fine, thank God. Like I just hit the case or something. And I looked back at it and you couldn't see it. It's not a bad smash. You can't see it unless I get like the angle right somehow. You'll be able to see some of the lines. And I hit the corner just here, and there's like a crack going all the way up through the middle and down. I never buy insurance either. Never. It's just, you spend so much on the phone. I think this contract cost me like £50 or something a month, maybe a bit more. I ain't in putting insurance on top of that. It's way too much. Anyway, that's not why I wanted to sit down and talk to you. That is just something in my life. I wanted to talk to you about my primer phase that I'm going through right now. So this was always planned. If anyone's been keeping a close eye on my training program, then you would have seen that I had a period of time dieting, and then I had a big chunk of time between the two dietary phases. So this diet phase of one was like pre-prep. Then I had kind of this primer phase in between, which was quite long, and wasn't completely sure how long this was going to be. And then I had true prep starting. So at the moment I'm still in a position where I could compete this year, but to be honest, if I compete this year, it would be starting the proper prep after this period of time, after this primer phase, and I would be ready a little bit too early, and it would be quite a long period of time considering I probably have a max of 10 pounds to lose from here, thereabouts. Within 5 pounds I'd probably look relatively good on stage and potentially qualify. So it just didn't make sense. It doesn't really make sense for me to start dieting for the fact that all qualifiers are cancelled and just finals are possibly running. And on that point of possibly running, I don't want to diet down for those shows, go through that turmoil of which I've been there twice before. Remember, like, I know how bad that is, and many of you watching will know how bad truly getting to those contest prep lean levels can be. It is in many ways like self-torture. You are self-starving yourself. And so to go through all of that and then not have them, considering this is not like, I am somewhat doing it for the process, I'm doing it for the learning, but lots of the lessons will come from peaking, lots of the lessons will come from being on stage and having that process there, having the stress of the shows there. And the big thing for me is, if they were to not go ahead, what would next year mean? It would mean next year is just a recovery period. You think every time you compete, there is a huge cost to competing. This is why, as a bodybuilding coach, when people come to me and they're not competitors, I never encourage them to get leaner than their lower end settling point where they feel comfortable, good, they're nice and lean, basically where I am now, where you're maybe in high single digit body fat as a man, or you're just dipping below 20% as a female. Like, there's no point going much deeper than that. All it's going to bring is lower training performance, lower sex drive, lower energy level, higher food focus. All of these like negative impacts of dieting, they just get more and more and more and worse and worse and worse. And all you get is like some shreds, which only people see if you get tanned up and go on stage in tiny pants or in a bikini or whatever it might be that you're doing. And so it would also mean not being able to compete next year. So not only have I not been able to compete this year, next year's off the cards, and then I'm kind of recovering next year, not got much time to improve, and then I'll maybe do 2022. So to me, I almost sold myself on the fact that I could enter another gaining phase after what I've just done, but it probably still isn't optimal, because in that gaining phase I just truly wouldn't have been able to commit to it, because I would have still been thinking I can't gain too much weight because I need to be in shooting range for shows this year. So that's why the primer phase has come in. Breakfast, I changed it up. I had 40 grams less oats and I had 20 grams of peanut butter instead, so the calories were pretty much equated but higher fat. During a primer phase, maintenance period, I'm not worried about my carb to fat ratio so much because I'm not changing body composition, it doesn't matter, I'm training with lower volumes. And so far so good, I've not got that kind of blood sugar dip that I sometimes get. So it might be that the fat slow digestion of things, and so that I feel better because of that. And hopefully you guys have watched the primer phase presentation that Pascal has done on the members site, or maybe you have a copy of the ebook that we have done where we've gone in lots of depth within the ebook about primer phases, or you've listened to us on the podcast tons, or you've read articles that we have online and you've got a good understanding of what it is. But there's so much to it. It isn't just like, it's very simply, plain and simple. I'm on maintenance calories, on maintenance volume. Low volume, fine calories, really low stress. Essentially that's what this block, you could view it as a block of just trying to reduce stress. And by reducing stress, we're priming ourselves, putting ourselves in the best position for then capitalizing on future progress. But a big thing that we do as bodybuilders is push our body composition, which is a stress, whether or not it's up or down. And when we push any biological thing in a certain direction, there's that adaptive resistance component. Therefore, over time, to push something in a direction, it gets harder and harder and harder. Just like we diet, it gets harder and harder and harder. Just like growing muscle, as we get beginner to advanced, it gets harder and harder and harder. And even on the short term, that minimum effective volume amount gets higher and higher and higher. Our MRV doesn't get so high. That window of opportunity between MEV and MRV gets smaller. So to get the same results from our training, we have to do more and more and more to the point we can't do anymore. And we've kind of, that adaptive resistance is built up. We've now got anabolic resistance, and we're better off wiping the slate clean, doing a primer phase and pushing on forward again. And I just reacquainted myself with some of the research actually looking at the book I wrote personally, and then the team all reviewed it and looked over it and stuff. And obviously Pascal's done the audiobook for it. I want to reread the book because it brings together a lot of concepts, and I think the really good thing, and I think I'd like to do another short ebook again, because it makes you think outside the box a little bit and makes you think about things in ways that you haven't thought about them before. And that's what, that book did for me. And if I ever need to sell myself on a primer phase, because typically we don't want to do these, people who want the best results do what they have to do, not what they want to do all the time. And I've said it before, where I try and sell myself, and I tell myself what I want to do is what I have to do, because what I have to do gets me the best results, and I want the best results. So that's how I frame it in my mind. And sometimes it's difficult to sell it to people, and they want to shorten the phase, just like people don't want to take deloads, for example. And then you do deloads, you're like, oh, these are really good. So anyway, this is a real ramble on my training at the moment, the primer phase that I'm doing, where I'm going in future. Really, really blessed, I guess, that right now actually is the perfect time for my primer phase. And I mean, I'm limited to a piece of equipment like the barbell and the rack that is very well suited to primer phase training. So yeah, all in all, I couldn't really be happier with that. And what I am enjoying at the moment psychologically is it is giving me more time for other things and have that little bit of a break, because there is a burden to twice daily training, of which there will be a presentation coming out from myself on that, where you finish that AM session and a number of hours later you've got another hard PM training session coming, especially on leg days. That stuff, doing AM quads, PM hamstrings is serious, and it feels like you're doing biceps and delts every day basically. So it's really nice just to be like, I had 2 sets of delts today, I have 2 more later in the week. Like, it's really nice to have that kind of psychological break as well. And I think even the hardest and the sturdiest of trainees need to have that now and then, however much we believe we don't. That burnout is a real sensation. So yeah, I'm looking forward to, just like you do in a deload week, at the start you're like, yes, this is awesome. As you're getting through it, you're like, yeah, this is still good, and slowly you're like, oh my god, get me back in this gym. I think I'll be crying out for hypertrophy twice daily training by the end of this primer phase, and hopefully the gyms will be open. So guys, hopefully you've enjoyed this vlog. Hopefully you enjoyed my other ones. I realize I never do a very good job of closing off my vlogs, and Pascal does. And he tells you all these good things about subscribing, liking, commenting, because that is super important for us. It does help our little algorithm over on YouTube. If this becomes publicly available at some stage, I'm not even sure. Obviously you guys on the members site are seeing this first, and we appreciate every single one of you. So yeah, thank you so much for everything. Feedback on the members site on these vlogs is always highly appreciated. Stay strong, stay safe at these weird times, and revive stronger. We all will.